But really the purpose of tonight's meeting was just to allow our Oahu Council clubs and our club presidents the opportunity to get to know Cully Watson. As many of you know, Cully was recently nominated by Governor Green to lead the Department of Hawaiian Homelands. And he does have a confirmation hearing coming up, so I know for many of us and many of you, you are very active and very engaged in our Hawaiian issues and the issues relating to the Department of Hawaiian Homeland. So we really wanted to use this opportunity for us to get to know Cully, but for Cully to also get to know us. Some of you may know him from his various work and the years that he's been engaged with our community, but really wanted just to our council to have a formal opportunity to get to know Cully. So we're gonna allow Cully time to just share a little bit about him, some of his background, and what he hopes to do as the chair and the lead person at the Department of Hawaiian Homeland. So at this time, I'll hand it over to Cully. And then after, we can go into a talk story, question and answer with Cully. So Cully, again, thank you for joining us. And the floor is yours.
That's example.
Oh, well, first of all, I'd like to thank Jacob for, getting a hold of me and making the contact and I guess wanting to learn more about me. The Oahu Civic Clubs, I mean, it's a very, very important organizations that I think historically has been very active in the community, and I think in the coming years there's a lot going to be happening with DHHL. Maybe if I can share my screen, would that be possible?
Sure. Yeah, let me allow you. You should be able to share now.
Okay. First, the first thing that I'd like to talk about is the recently passed Act 279, which involves the funding of to the Department of Hawaiian Homelands of $600 million. I mean, this was a historic moment for the program in the sense that this funding is kind of like almost like lump sum. It's not like the previous 600 million that when I was there they were able to get. This one allows us to and is requiring us to spend the money in a very expeditious way. We're supposed to spend it by June 30th of 2025. So not very much time. So what happened was the Hawaiian Homes Commission kind of went through their inventory and tried to figure out what would best be suitable from a project standpoint in the various homesteading communities for development of new homesteads. So what they came up with was 20 projects spread out through the state of Hawaii. 15 of them involve residential construction. And so what I want to do is I'll kind of go through the ones relevant to this island. Obviously, it's not limited to this, but I think it's for this particular group, it might be a lot more pertinent. Let's see. Yeah. Yeah, the first particular project that I would talk about is a project out in Kapolei. They're acquiring 9 acres from HHFTC. The plan is to develop about 60 lots. They're acquiring it by purchasing it, and then use of the 600 million will be used to develop the housing. There's some question as whether it should be just housing or combo, maybe resource center. Some people have expressed a desire to put a park in there. So I'm going to take a look at that. The thing is, though, we have about 28,700 on the waiting list. So, my inclination is obviously there's a need for more housing, especially here on Oahu, which has the greatest demand. Some of the other sites that we're looking at, which I think is kind of exciting, is next to the TOD station in the Kapolei area again. Kaulu Okahai involves quite a few lots. The legislature also previously funded some of the infrastructure costs. So it's a start, but with respect to development of single family housing, typically it costs about $450,000 per house, about $225,000 for infrastructure. And so we have to kind of figure out not only how we pay for that, but how best to do the development. One of the things I'm going to do, which is kind of unique, is to put out what they call an RFQ, or request for qualifications. And we're going to identify a developer that can do all of it at one time. Be a kind of like a design build contract versus piecemealing it, how the department has done it in the past. So because of the using that approach, the developer will be able to not only build the houses in an expeditious way, but by giving them all of the parcels to do it one time. In other words, give them the number of units in a large amount, that would drive down the cost per unit, and it also be a lot more effective in getting the houses built. Another different approach that we're going to use is, unlike in the past where the homestead leases are typically awarded after a person qualifies for the financing, we're going to use 4 different models in order to address all the people on the waiting list. That would include, for the people that want to build their own house, we'll set aside some lots where they can do owner builder. We'll also allow people that want to do the habitat or self-help approach. We'll also have an opportunity to work that route and provide sweat equity in order to, get the cost of the house down. The third approach would be where we, similar to what we did in Kapolei, the whole Lima Lima project, where we go after funding from the Hawaii Housing Finance and Development Corp. We go after tax credits, rental housing revolving fund, as well as bond financing. And then with the use of that funding, we're able to identify and address those people on the lower end, the 60% AMI and below, which is about $78,000 per year income for a family of 4. And then what we'll do on that one is they won't have to go through that burdensome and a lot of times, impossible task of trying to pre-qualify for a mortgage. And so they just have to be they can't exceed a certain income. And so once they get on, they're not only get the benefit of immediate occupancy, but more importantly, at the end of that period of use of the tax credits, they can convert and become a homesteader. We're going to try and change the approach in the sense that typically the tax credits require 15 years of you being a renter before you can convert to a homesteader. Well, instead, what we're going to do is issue the ground lease as a regular homestead, thereby allowing you to become a homesteader right off the bat. You have these certain requirements and restrictions regarding the financing and paying off of the loan, but more importantly, you have the ability to provide your successorship, the opportunity, should you pass away before the period of LIHTC compliance, to inherit the particular parcel and homestead. The next model that we'd use across the board would be where those individuals that don't qualify for a low-income housing tax credit unit, but don't make enough money to qualify for that $300,000 mortgage, what we'll do is we'll provide some funding to supplement the income, maybe a second mortgage, a grant, or in some way get them to be able to qualify for this particular product and loan that will thereby also prevent them from being bypassed because they couldn't qualify for that $300,000 mortgage. And then the guys that can qualify would be the typical turnkey type applicant, which would again receive a homestead. And the thing about the development, all of these different models would be the same. In other words, a guy that with the exception with maybe the habitat, they would have a little bit more flexibility. But the thing is, all the different other models would be consistent. They all look alike, so there wouldn't be any distinction or difference between the models. But the bottom line, which is really kind of exciting, is that we won't be bypassing anybody on the wait list. That has typically been the problem in the past. So we're excited about this kind of a different approach. And so we'll, again, be making the awards up front, and then also kind of dovetailing the construction so that, people will get their homesteads in a timely fashion. With respect, during the time of construction, we'd also not impose, but probably require people to go through some home training and counseling, as well as for individuals that, this is the first time they've ever had home ownership. There's things you got to learn about home ownership, especially paying your mortgage and taking care of your house. So that's something that we're excited and I think is necessary. So some of the other units that we're talking about, let's see, we already saw that one. I guess I'm going the wrong way here. Yeah, there's this other property we got from the feds in Maili. It's a development right close to, what do you call it? A development we were actually doing that I'll talk about later. But on this one, it's approximately 40 acres. Again, we'll be developing quite a few additional units. So that one is right off of Kuala Street. You get kind of the layout of the different housing. So that's another choice that's going to become available for people looking for homesteads on this island. Then there's this, and excuse me, that previous property that wasn't from the feds. This is the one that was received from the feds fairly recently. It's next to the Eva golf course. And so this one is, there's some work to be done on that. There's some environmental issues. And now we will build approximately 600 lots.
Kalamai Kali, are you sharing screen? Because if not, we can't see the screen. Kalamai, I'm not sure if you meant to share screen.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, can you try again?
Oh, geez. You guys haven't seen the screen all this time?
No. I think so, yeah.
My apologies. I thought you guys could see the screen.
No. So you should be able to have screen share.
Yeah, shoot. Let's see. That
Okay, there we go. I think we can. All right, there we go.
All that time I was talking, you guys didn't see anything.
No, that's okay. Maybe after, if folks have questions or you want to go back, that's fine. But yeah, we can see it now. Thanks, Kali.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, this is the wrong screen. Let me get another screen.
But yeah, we can see it now. So looks good. We're on the Hale Makana slide.
Well, that's the wrong one. Let's say I apologize. This is not good. Looking for you've been watching that one, but that's not the one I wanted to show you. Apologize there, gang. Oh, here we go. Okay, let me try that again.
Okay.
Let me show you the screen that I wanted you to see. It's this one.
There we go. Yep.
Oh, okay, here we go. Let me go real quickly back to the previous okay, this is strategic plan. This is different sites that are available. This one in Kapolei I talked about. This is the one next to the Croc Center, next to the north-south road. This is we're going to do kind of a master and quick development of. You see how this kind of separated into parcels. That's all going to be consolidated and kind of fast track so we can kind of get those built pretty quick. This is the one out in Maili, out by the Waianae Coast Comprehensive Health Center. You got the Kamehameha Havzera Maili multi-service center out there. We're doing the Ulukekukui project out there for the waitlisters. And this is a new site where we're gonna again put up some housing. That one's kind of nice. It's next to the golf course, close to the ocean, so that has a great potential. And then this one is the Ulukekukui or Uluvehi project. This one is for the waitlisters. They're gonna have about 40 units. This one, the idea is to provide affordable rental housing for people on the wait list. We'll also have a multi-service center there. We're going to have, what do you call it, CNHA, Hawaiian Community Assets. Lunalilo Homes is going to take over the certified kitchen. They're going to have a, what do you call it, elderly care, almost like respite care during the day hours for Hawaiians, a native Hawaiian. Then adjacent, we'll have a daycare center. So kind of combine the two, kind of interaction between the two. Then this one is just to kind of give you guys, you know, when I was talking about the LIHTC rent to own, this is the project we did whereby people that couldn't afford the large mortgages will go through this. And then this is some of the projects as me as a developer has recently done. This one on the left is the Halemakano Maili. It's about a $22 million project, 52 units, restricted to people of certain income. That has a long wait list. That one was kind of a challenge in building. There were people that were against it, but you know, we kind of worked through it and got it built. The one on the right was the one that was in the news recently. We built this kupuna housing, 105 units, and that one is restricted to people in the you know, 55 to and older. So that one, again, it was a low-income housing tax credit, so the rent is very, very affordable. We want to do a DHHL to start to get into kupuna housing. We're looking to maybe build them adjacent to medical facilities like the Waianae Comprehensive Health Center, as well as out by maybe Punch Bowl next to Queens. And so that's going to kind of be active and something that, you know, I'm looking forward to, which is focusing on our kupuna and providing them housing. This is the Nanakuli Village Center we did and I'm talking about Hawaiian Community Development Board. We worked with the Homestead Association out there, and we built this Nanakuli Village Center. And let me show you. Let's see how to get on this. Yeah, this one is a real quick video. You guys see that?
I was founder of the Sovereign Councils of the Hawaiian Homeland
Sorry,
Assembly.
Cully, we cannot see that one. We can hear it, we can't see it.
Okay, hang on. Let me try again. This technology, man, kind of screws up something. Where is it? Oh, there we go. Let's see. Can you see that?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Let me start over.
Hawaiian Homelands Assembly, which today is the largest Native Hawaiian organization in the state. I was chairman for 30 years. And as I traveled to every single island, visiting every single homestead association, I realized that they weren't really accomplishing what their lands are supposed to be doing. So today, that center is the only center of its kind statewide on Hawaiian homestead lands. Now this year, The act is 100 years old. And can you imagine, in 100 years, the only thing that was really accomplished that's economically sound and developed is a shopping center? I said, Kali, I don't ever recall any organization looking into economic development. They're looking at how many years waiting for your home to be called that you can get a lease. They weren't looking at the development of their community, only that they wanted a lease. And now the lease is 199 years for $1 a year.
Well, this Nanakuli Village Center was a vision of the Nanakuli Homestead Community Association that was based on surveys, charrettes, a ton of community meetings in which the beneficiaries articulated their concerns, their needs, and the desire to be built or needed to be built in their communities to service these educational, cultural, social, economic needs that weren't being addressed. They came up with this vision that Hawaiian Community Development assisted with partnerships with various entities, depending on the different, we're dealing with. One was a housing. So that's where urban housing and community came into play. With the Cultural Learning Center, that's where Kamehameha Schools came into play, that they were able to step up and commit a permanent presence of having a facility like this, Kalani Ho'okaha Cultural Center in Nanakuli. It was this $10 million commitment that the KS trustees authorized. With the help of staff, this has become a reality. Now, with respect to the commercial medical clinics portion, that became a reality partly because of the use of new market tax credits, as well as working with the American Savings Bank, with Gabe Lee and some of the staff there that was willing to step up and make this a reality. Pono Shim is also very instrumental with Punavai, an entity that was created to access these new market tax credits. And when we use these various funding sources, as well as the commitment of two individuals, Chris Flaherty and Anthony Marquette, who not only personally stepped up, but financially stepped up to guarantee the funding and viability of this project. Without their personal guarantees, this project would not have become a reality.
And so in the creation of the center, I wanted to do two things: the shopping center to be built and Halimakana. By the way, quite a few have come to visit me, and when they pass the shopping center, they cannot believe Native Hawaiians on Hawaiian homestead lands built it. The center would have mana or strength in it if it was not only built by Native Hawaiian community and the Native Hawaiians, but it was also used as a basis for which Hawaiians can come and get employment and learn economic development skills, whether they're going to be a waitress at Wendy's or whatever. That the center was built for them, not only for them to come shop, but for them to find employment. I hope economically our people will grow with it and will be a little more proud of themselves. The center thoughts and everything could not have been built without the Nanakuli Hawaiian Homestead Community Association, which I sit as its president. And so what we all agreed to was that the center will produce an economic development base, and that the center would take its profits and transfer it to the Nanakuli Hawaiian Homestead Community Association so that they, who initiated it, would benefit, and its monies would be used for scholarships, would be used for our kids, would be used for further development in the community and make it work.
So Kali and I looked at a lot of different approaches for affordable housing, and we found that rental housing is the most effective approach. And we looked at self-help housing, Habitat for Humanity, low-income loans, but realistically, rental housing is effective because what it does is it allows families to pay an affordable monthly payment towards housing so that they have more money to spend for other things.
Well, Halimakana Well, Nanakuli was a project that generated affordable housing for the community that was plagued by a lot of overcrowded housing conditions or households. And so we needed to build something which is affordable, and partnering with urban housing communities and Nanakuli Homestead Association, Hawaiian Community Development was able to access funding that about $14.5 million, which included low-income housing tax credits, both federal and state, along with bonds, as well as rental housing revolving fund. So this $14.5 million project generated 48 units, primarily 3 bedrooms for large families primarily, which is, always a problem, especially on the Leeward Coast, finding that kind of affordable housing. So on average, the units are about $350 a month.
As a native Hawaiian that was brought up on a homestead, and I'm also on the wait list, I understand what not only the people need, but what they want too. They want a quality product, something that they can be proud of. And the way Cully and I approach it, we try to bring them the best quality, the biggest homes that they can have inside. We think it's really important because when people come home and they have a sense of pride, it's good for their well-being.
Welcome to Halemakana. Welcome to our own affordable housing people here in Nanakuli. First of its kind on homestead. What it brings to our families here, and 48 families, is sustainability, family strengthening, helping to provide us tools to become homeowners in the future. We're 7 years old. I'm blessed to say that we are blessed as a community. We've partnered with many, many orgs that bring service into our resource center. Was a key bridge into building sustainability, strengthening our families with tools they need in financial literacy, how to purchase a home, healthy eating, daycare, early childhood, parent workshops. So all these things are key, and it's part of our larger community into helping strengthen our families.
I've been living in Nanakuli, Series 7. Me and Kilke's neighbors for the past 2 decades. I've been here for 21 years, and Nanakuli has never seen anything like this, such as the Nanakuli Village Center. We're just proud to be from the community with this type of establishment for our community to enjoy. We want this to be a family-oriented environment. We just can't wait for the future holds in store.
So we're excited that this Nanakuli Village Center in its different components provide and addresses some of the needs that are required to be addressed in order to position our beneficiaries to succeed in society, whether it be job opportunities, whether it be cultural awareness, so they can be proud to be Hawaiian, but also not only being educated, but having a safe place to live, and as well as addressing their health problems. So this Nanakuli Village collectively provides tremendous access to these various needs. And so we're excited about not only the success of this village center, but the opportunities to replicate this in other homestead communities.
The center is a very, very valuable model for the future of economic development for all of our people statewide. It had to start somewhere. People like Cully and myself and Patty and everybody, unless we have the courage to go do it, it'll never happen.
So anyway, that's Nanakuli Village Center, and it's a great project. It's up, it's running. It just kind of got over the hump and is starting to generate money for the Homestead Association. So we're kind of revitalizing and getting that particular association active again. So this is kind of an example of the things that our nonprofit has done. But I think more importantly, for me right now, I'm at a point where I have meetings with the Shaw, the Association of Hawaiians for Homestead Lands. I've met with the staff at DHHL, and we've identified the efficiencies. So we're looking to fill all the vacancies. I'm in the process of bringing on new people. I'm establishing working relationships with the various elite trusts. Met with OHA, met with Commitment Schools and Lunalilo, and I haven't met with Lilo Kalani, but I plan to do that. And then more importantly, with the civic clubs, you guys can be, and I hopefully will be, an integral part of looking for solutions, looking for how can we elevate the beneficiaries in the Hawaiian Homes Commission Act. So that's what I'm about, and that's what I'm going to try and do the best that I can. So I'm ready for questions or whatever questions you folks have.
Mahalo, Kali, and thank you for that presentation. Folks, we'll do Q&A at this time. So if you do have a question, please raise your virtual hand. Please get to the question. Please don't go on a tangent. And we want to try to get as many questions as we can, and we'll go to about 7:30. Just want to be respectful of everyone's time. But I know Ken, thank you, Ken, for your patience. If you want to ask your question, and then for everybody else, feel free to either put it in the chat, I can ask it, or you can raise your hand or somehow get my attention. So Ken.
Oh, thank you, Kali, for coming on here. I had a question regarding the wait list. I hear that there's certain specifications that need to happen in order for a person to get off the wait list. We could do, let's say, 10,000 rentals, but those people would still never be off the wait list. How do we address that? Or can we come up with a second list to really, key in on things like that? So for example, is that true, first off, that people who are on rental, in rental properties on DHHL land are not technically off the list? And then what are ways that we can do to address that so that the list itself can reflect what's actually going on? Because there's individuals, for example, who are older who will not get a mortgage. So then how do we go about dealing with that, where they may not get a mortgage, but they're still on the list? Thank you.
Yeah, that has been a problem. And you're talking about the one project, not only in Kapolei, but in Laiopua in the Big Island, where we've used the low-income housing tax credits, which require a 15-year period in which you have to be a tenant, and then the period, then there's this conversion. Well, we're going to change that. We're going to make that whereby you don't wait for 15 years before you become a homesteader. We will, and subject to verification from the Attorney General's, which I used to be a deputy over there, so have some background on in separation of the land from the CPR unit or the vertical construction. What we're going to do is actually issue at the right at the beginning a homestead lease to the individual, and then we'll separate the vertical construction from that and use these wonderful funding sources to help not only subsidize the cost, but get it where the person doesn't have to qualify for a large mortgage. And by doing that, they become a homesteader with a right of survivorship. So should they die before that conversion, their successors will get it. With respect to kupuna housing, I'm actually going to do the same. I'm going to try and make it where the kupuna actually have an interest in the kupuna housing. And a lot of them is going to probably be vertical construction, but we'll do a combo where maybe we'll do some townhouses. I don't know too much about single family because typically on the kupuna, they don't need that 3-4 bedroom, but they don't need that large mortgage. So, but there are some people that would like, condominium in Moiliili or areas that are conducive to long-term care and aging in place. So with those, we use, this different funding approaches where we can help those that, really can't qualify for a large mortgage. So those will provide this alternative financing for them to participate, but yet still have an interest. So they're technically not a renter. We'll give them the underlying fee, undivided interest in the land, so they become a homesteader, and they are similarly taken off the wait list. And those that want to just do a turnkey, they could just do straight up, get the lease and purchase the unit in the homestead kupuna housing. But we'll take them all. The rentals, but let me also say, we're also going to be doing transitional housing. That's what the Kukui project is about, where, there's those that just ain't ready for housing. So they make a choice to prepare themselves, but also need temporary housing so that they can get their finances in place. They can learn a little bit more about, being a homeowner. They might need some counseling on, the family situations. They might need assistance in getting a job. And so that's where the CNHA, Hawaiian Community Assets, and some of these other outfits will be a part of our multi-service center, which will be surrounded by these rental units, which will be very, very affordable. And that's what the Ulu Kekukui project is about. That's the pilot projects that we're doing. And the people in there are transitional in the sense that they're just long enough to prepare themselves to move into a homestead. So they may be there for 6 months, they may be there for 2 years. That's up to them. But the main thing is they have this option of preparing themselves through a rental situation. And that one, I'm going to try and work with the different homestead associations, whereby, just like in Nanakuli, that Halemakana or Nanakuli is a rental project that they will own after the tax credits burn off. And so it will become an asset for them, which they're presently using. And most of the tenants in there are, from Nanakuli. So what I want to do is all the 40 or something homestead associations that are out there, we want to work with them to create these transitional housing for those that need the help. And they will also, be provided to maybe some homeless Hawaiians that just ain't ready for anything other than, they need shelter, they need counseling and all of that. So, over 1/3 of the homeless in Hawaii are Hawaiians. So granted, they might not be ready for a mortgage or, home ownership, but they need help. So that's what the idea is, to provide this housing. We're also going to look at doing what they call accessory dwelling units, using the HASDA funds, where the 9,000 or so homesteads we have in existence will have the opportunity to build on their land accessory dwelling unit. Could be a standalone, it could be an extension or partition of the upstairs from the downstairs. Just a variety of approaches where they can provide rental units for Native Hawaiians. It has to be Native Hawaiians.
Thanks, Cully. And yeah, folks, if you have questions, now is the opportunity, so please do so. I think, Cully, one of the questions we got from the chat, are you a Civic Club member?
No, I'm not, but I'd be happy to join.
Yep, I think we have 26 clubs on the island, so 26.
What about Waikiki? You got one in Waikiki?
We do have Waikiki Hawaiian Civic Club, yes.
I'm there then. Okay,
so we'll definitely reach out to you to also join. Cully, one of the other questions we got in the chat, and I'll try to summarize it, is that the Association of Hawaiian Civic Clubs was founded really to be the advocacy arm, or Prince Kuhio founded us, right, to be the advocacy arm to really help promote and push forward. One was the HHCA, but what role do you see the civic clubs being in terms of helping to really push forth, the plans that you have shared? Many of us do not qualify for a homestead lease, but yet, we're very passionate about making sure that Prince Kuhio's mission of putting Hawaiians on lands is met. So, what I guess the question I got is kind of twofold, is, what role do you see the civic clubs being, in your administration? And two, are there any current bills that you think we should be paying attention to?
Yeah, actually, the timing is perfect, and I'm glad you asked that, because the legislature is in session. There's a couple of bills that I need some help, and I recognize, and I've seen you guys in action at past legislative sessions where you're very effective and you submit some great testimony. One is the House Bill 567. It's an omnibus bill that really is helping to implement the Act 279 funding. When it was awarded, there was a little glitch on the 3-year period. It started too early, so it ended early rather than the June 30th 2025. So I need the full 3 years in order to implement and meet their deadline of spending the money in a timely fashion. So they're shorting me, at least on the Senate side, on that. There's some other things regarding affordable housing credits that they want to make that permanent for any projects we build that we use to actually generate money to do more projects, which the market developers use to satisfy their affordable housing requirement. So that's a commodity that we can send just by building the things we build. There's also this bill that deals with the review process for the state historic preservation section, which is out of DLNR. Unfortunately, they are very slow. And me as a developer, my experience has been that it's kind of like a bottleneck in the development process. So we want to do that. It's not that we don't want to do the environmental review and approval, but we need to do it in-house so that we can move the process along so that we're not stopped, our developments are not stopped because of that lack of action on the part of that particular division. So on the legislative side, those are some of the bills that are real key, and I'd appreciate your help in trying to get it through.
Thanks. And I think Pohai had her hand. Pohai, did you have a question?
Excuse me.
Actually, I have a question that's twofold. The first one is, are you going to continue to execute the plan that was already in place during the last administration? Okay, so the second,
The
sorry.
the strategic plan, yeah, I'm gonna,
For-
that's on the 20 project, we're gonna do those.
Yeah.
Those are-
I sat in the presentation at the Association of Hawaiian Civic Clubs Convention in Seattle in November, and Tyler gave the presentation, and I was a little surprised to find that Molokai was not earmarked for any projects, being
they-
that,
Yeah.
well,
it's-
the
it's got-
presentation, he
Right.
didn't have Molokai listed for any housing development.
Incorrect. Well, it's farm lots and stuff. There's no housing, is some farm lots. There's about 12 in Ho'olehua, and then there's a new subdivision, and it's a bunch more.
Okay,
But we
so
can do it.
actual building?
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's more, putting in the infrastructure
Oh,
for
okay.
farm lots, and, those will
Yeah.
be supported.
Well, I work at OHA, and my boss is Trustee Luana Lapo, who represents Molokai and Lanai.
Mhm.
And she has been going into the community quite regularly. And the feedback she's getting is that if DHHL can consider doing rehab grants, because a lot of the homes that are on the homestead at this time, some of them need brand new roofs, retrograde for ADA access,
Sure.
for fixing the porch, and which can be really life-changing for all the families.
Sure.
And she's, I hope that you folks will consider that, and I'll let her know. I'm sorry she's not on this call. She's a member of our club, and I was hoping she would be on the call.
No, yeah, that's real. We got a serious problem about dilapidated homes and homes that need repair, and ADU accessibility, just a variety of things. And when I did an evaluation of the situation of the loans program, I found that there's about 48 million. There's 9 different trust funds, and there's the rehabilitation home loan fund. There's funds there, but part of the problem that I found is there's a lack of personnel. And so one of the first things I'm going to do, and I met with all the division heads, and we broke out the org charts. And I said, okay, well, who's working and what positions are vacant? And so all these vacant positions we got to fill. And so I actually met with the ASO for the department, including the one for the governor. So we're going to fast track the hiring these individuals. And to a certain extent, we're trying to go the civil service route, but unfortunately, that's a long process working with DHHL. So I don't have time for that. So we do a lot of contract hires, a lot of exams, And I'm also on a lot of people on the development side because I got to get this developments going. There's a lot of pressure on the timeliness. So we're going to bring in a lot of people. And I'm glad I have this opportunity to talk to you folks because I'm looking for workers with skill sets. Obviously, I'm not just handing out jobs to hand them out. I need workers that have certain skill sets, whether it's in loan processing or construction or monitoring, the permitting process. We're going to bring the permits in-house so we can, expedite even that process. Because as a developer, I've been in situations with projects borderline getting killed because we couldn't get building permits from Department of Planning and Permitting, and that's the problem across the state. And so I am in the process of developing my own permitting division.
One last comment to what you just said. What I have seen is that grants for rehab really won't work in the high need, low income families. They need straight up grants to help rehab their homes. There is no employment where they can even pay back a 1% loan. So I hope that will be considered, that it'll be rehab grants and not just loans, because that would have happened already. People could have taken out loans already because OHA does offer that.
Sure.
And that's the problem I saw.
Yeah, and I think again, it goes to personnel and availability of people. And you're right, the cost for sure, the affordability and whether grants are warranted, especially for Kupuna. Yeah, we'll do that. I mean, that's not a question. But there's also the challenge of getting people to do the work. So we're working with the Carpenters Union. We're going to start up an apprenticeship program whereby they'll offer, apprenticeships for people from the homesteading communities to learn how to be a carpenter and actually participate, because we're going to be doing all these different projects, to be a part of the workforce, because 70% of the construction is carpentry. And so this is kind of there's a lot of guys out there that they're not into, this other more complicated, or not necessarily going to be a lawyer or whatever, but they're more a hands-on type individual. So I think the carpentry area is a great area. So I met with the union guys, and they're going to implement a apprenticeship program. And not only will we be able to have them build these projects we're talking about, but also help the elderly, as well as maybe constructing ADUs and what have you. So I'm excited about that one because it's an employment generating approach that kind of targets the homestead areas, but more importantly, uses people from the community to do the work.
Thanks, Kali. And Kali, Pohai is also the housing chair for our council, so we'll probably be interacting a lot with you, I think, as time goes on. So I do want to get to some of the other questions that we have. One of the questions, the first one is from Lou. So obviously, I think the big elephant in the room is that your predecessor, obviously didn't get confirmed. Our civic clubs did support his nomination, but I know it was a very contentious issue for many in our community. What kind of experience do you bring that may differ, from your predecessor? Maybe what is your strategy to get confirmed from the big bad Senate? And everyone knows here, I am the Senate comms director, but tonight wearing my civic club hat. So obviously, big road ahead. You do have a big hearing coming up, right? So what are you doing to maybe learn from what happened with Mr. Anderson, but also moving forward, in your own confirmation strategy?
Well, I actually, I've already gotten this support of a lot of, in fact, the key people, the president, as well as Speaker of the House, have come out in support of my nomination. But I think it's partly because of my past experience of being the director way back during the Cayetano period. And then also these past 20-something years, I've been the head of the nonprofit Hawaiian Community Development Board and continue to work in the homesteading communities to provide affordable housing and what have you. And so I think that and to be fair to Ikaika, you know, he was on the job for 1 week. And, you know, how are you gonna kind of answer all these questions, especially with the budget that you don't really know? I mean, it's complicated. You know, it goes into the Nelson case, and they got 4 purposes, and then there's a broken down for, you know, line items, and, you know, what's the staffing situation? He wouldn't know. You know, he doesn't know the employment process and the complexities and challenges. You know, I've been there, so, and I know that. So I think that experience, not only having headed up the department, but more importantly, doing development for the, I mean, if you look at my website, you see I've done quite a few projects and high rises, and $40 million here, and 110 million just got approved recently. You know, it's big projects, and that's what they want to see, is somebody that can do that. And I think my background is clearly such that I think I'll be able to move that along. I'm very optimistic that the people I bring on, as well as the approach that I'm going to, this new approach, is going to be very, very good for the program, in the sense that we'll get all this development fast track, as well as moving the loan process and identifying and getting the homesteaders in a position to become homesteaders. So it's an exciting time. I think that you're going to see a lot more than 2,700 units being done, a lot more. And I'm excited because I've been in contact with some of the trusts, and there's lands they want me to develop for Hawaiians, especially commitment schools. They got some wonderful lands. I mean, even the county has reached out, and out my window in downtown, they got a parcel they want me to develop or buy, and there's some property in Kākuhihewa that is great, overlooking, you know, great views. And so there's going to be a lot of more development, and that's the nice thing about this 600 million. It allows and authorizes acquisition of new lands. And the thing about new lands is that once they get into the inventory of the DHHL, all this entitlement that developers got to fight and get is automatic. You know, we can go up, we can do the density, we can waive certain, you know, setback. It's a wonderful situation to develop DHHL lands. And so now we, not only the entitlements, the permitting, the funding that we got, and we're going to leverage that, and you know, the 900 million, we're going to grab a lot of that. And then I got a call with Brian Schatz, and we're going to go after a ton of federal funds, broadband, as well as NAHASA, infrastructure. So when you leverage and do developments in a way that is more effective and fast track, you can do a lot more. And I think it's an exciting time, and you'll see a lot more development and awards coming up. But more importantly, in areas that you want to go. You know, some guys, they don't want to be out in Waianae. How about downtown Muilili, or, you know, right next to Waianae Comp, or, you know, in the slopes of Punch Bowl? Wouldn't that be nice? So we're excited about not only the new lands, but moving the program forward, so we really seriously make a big dent in the wait list and service the people, the beneficiaries, in the White Homes Commission Act.
Thanks, Cully. We're going to go to Carol's question, and then Justin, and then Auntie Tony. So Carol's question is, you know, obviously you've done a lot in the nonprofit sector as a developer, you know, but obviously, right, you know, now you're moving into the role of director. You know, what are you going to be stepping away from your role there, you know, and how might you be able to mitigate some of the potential conflict? Obviously, you work on, you know, a lot on some of the department's projects, but that may be some concern. And do you know, what is your response to those concerns?
Yeah, I'm gonna, as soon as I get confirmed, I'll step off the board. Patty Barbie will take my place. She's a senior vice president. And it's kind of a sad time for me, because my son just came. He's our in-house counsel. My partner's son has joined, as well as Patty's daughter. And, you know, we've got a really strong development team, and we've been very, very successful. And we've got a bunch of projects on our island, including here. We're doing an industrial park, kind of focusing on providing industrial lots for Native Hawaiians. So those will proceed without me. And any items that involve Hawaiian homelands, I will recuse myself from in all the projects that are presently being done by Hawaiian Community Development will not involve me. I'll separate myself and no compensation, no pay, no nothing, no involvement. Now, these projects that I'm talking about, especially the Kupuna housing, especially if we're going to use LIHTC, you need an entity in order to access and get these fundings that have a track record. HCDB does have a track record, and it's an entity that I hope will be active in the various homesteading communities, especially when it comes to those transitional housing projects I was talking about. To get the funding for that, you need a track record, and you need an entity that qualifies, because it's a competitive process. And so HCDB will be continuing to do those. It's working with different organizations for Kupuna housing, and they got to stay involved. And it's not, to me, it's not a conflict if I'm not. Junior. So, I'm sorry.
Oh no, I think that was somebody was on off of me, but yeah, thank you for that, Cully. I do want to Justin has been raising his hand, and then Auntie Tony. So Justin, did you want to ask your question, or did you want me to read it from the chat?
Oh, Kalamai, I'll ask the question. Mahalo, Mr. Watson. Although Oahu holds the dominant need for housing, there are still a significant amount of beneficiaries listed for agricultural or pastoral lots, as well as residential lots in Maui and Hawaii County. What are some of the upcoming projects in the works for those beneficiaries awaiting ag land or residential lots outer island?
Let's see. There's quite a few. I don't know if you want me to go through all of them.
Maybe just some of them, and then if you can send me an email, with a full description, and we can get those out too. But yeah, Cully, if you wanted to share just a couple of them, I know there are some in the works.
Pull this up here. Back 1 second. Okay, let's see. This one is. My secretary, she's good at this. Let's see. Okay, are you guys still on there?
We don't see anything currently.
Okay, let me let's try again here. Oh, okay, here we go. We're on share.
We still don't see it. Kalamai.
Okay, I got it now. Let's see.
Okay, yeah, I think it's
Yeah,
shared.
you see it now?
Still on the black screen, almost there. I think it might be loading. There we go. We see.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So some of the others, in Honolulu on the Big Island, you get the ag lots. That's for subsistence.
Sorry, Cully. I the screen we see is the Association of Hawaiians for Homestead Lands. That's the screen we're looking at.
Hmm. Oh, here we go. Okay. I'm always losing the spot here. Okay, let's see with the right one here. That down. And how's that?
Yep, we can see it. Yep.
Okay, hallelujah. Okay, this is the Honomu lots on the Big Island. I mean, that's one here on Laopua that the couple of villages that are on the 20 unit or 20 projects we're gonna do. You got the Lanai, we're gonna do like 75 new residential. Then the ag lots on Molokai, scattered lots, and then the Eva Ag Subdivision 16. That's on the plan. And in Maui, we got some, Everett Darling is doing some housing over there. That's kind of a nice area. Then Hunakawai subsistent ag lots, we're gonna do a bunch of those, 50 of those. Then you got the village of Leali'i, kind of an expansion of existing homestead area, kind of going after HHFTC's lands. Then you've seen this one, Kaupea and Kapolei. This is a Kapolei, the more residential. This is the Maili, you saw that. The Eva. Then this one, Hanapepe. That one only 75, but it's master plan. So we're gonna, if we can leverage, we'll probably expand and do more of those than what's proposed under the strategic plan. It's a lot of ag lands in Anahola. So that's about 101 ag lots and 14 pastoral. We're gonna move that one forward. And let's see. I think that's about it. There's more, but I think that's some that, well, this is some new ones that we're looking at in Maui. There's about 600 residential that we're gonna do in the Wailuku area in Waihuko. Those are pretty nice. And that's the old Polimalima I talked about. And then there's stuff that we've done. It's the Uluke Kukui. That was the ADU that I was talking about. We're gonna start moving that along. I think those are good, give you homesteaders some options on getting involved in the rental business. So that's it.
Thank you, Kali. Yeah, thank you for that. Okay, and then I think Auntie Tony also had her hand raised. So Auntie Tony, thank you for your patience.
Hi, Tony.
Hi, Cully. It is so wonderful to see you.
Oh, thank you.
And I sat through that god awful 5-hour, whatever you want to try to call, that they slaughtered
Yeah, there's
Ikaika so badly at. And when I saw you take that mic, Cully, my whole sense of being said, he's the guy. He's the guy we need that can make it. And then I said to myself, hopefully he'll accept it, you know, because I know you did a great job when you were there. And how many people would want to go back? I mean, it's a tough place and a tough job. So thank you for considering to do it. I have no doubt that you wouldn't not be able to be very successful as you always have been in everything you do, Kali. The thing that I'm really praying for you about that really just aggravates me is this whole court case that they're bringing up of 2 years ago.
Mhm.
And I don't know how that's going to turn out or what that's going to do. All of a sudden it's here. I hope that should not have anything to do with it, but you know, we'll do prayers, but thank you for all you've done. Congratulations for all the great work that you have done for Hawaiians, Kali. Thank you for taking on the Kuleana. As you know, Civic Clubs has been around for over 100 years. I personally have been involved for 58 of those years, and I have watched you, Kali, in everything that you do, and know your capability. And to the rest of the people who don't know Kali Watson, he's the guy. Thank you so much, Kali, for the stamina and the wherewithal and the smartness. And I aloha you tremendously. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. I appreciate that. Those are kind words. Yeah, it was kind of, I was doing good and we were getting a lot of stuff done. And then when I saw Ikaika getting pummeled at that hearing, I thought, oh man, it's a historic moment. And if somebody doesn't step up, I mean, it's a lost opportunity. This 600 million goes back into the general fund. So I think one reason why I stepped up was because of that risk of losing this tremendous historic generation changing opportunity. But I also kind of thought about the relationships I've developed over the years with all the different elite trusts and groups and what have you. And I think more importantly than just building vertical construction is capitalizing, developing, and taking advantage of all these resources that collectively, if the elite Trust and OHA, the different Hawaiian organizations like yours out there start to work together, this Hawaii would change tremendously. There'd be a dramatic improvement of the communities. And this is Hawaii, this is our place. And so, we shouldn't be dictated that you can't build in Kaka'ako. That's not acceptable. I mean, that's our land, and we need to think smart about it. And maybe it's a timing thing, and you just got to be patient, maybe do the other, the cultural learnings and all that other stuff, and then wait. And when the timing is right, you move forward on some of the other stuff, especially housing. And maybe kind of think about the approach that's being used. Maybe we shouldn't be building high rises and selling them to market to non-Hawaiians. Personally, I think that the money that's generated, you can generate it other ways through tax credits, other funding sources, use your own money and settlement money, whatever. But there's ways to do it where that criticism is eliminated. But more importantly, you can get the thing done. Because even at 200 feet, you can still put a lot of units up, and you could be in workforce and what have you. And there's also land that I want to go grab over there from HCDA and get DHHL in there and start, putting up some housing. Don't quote me on that, but until I get confirmed. But I'm coming over there too. The Hawaiians are coming. So,
and Kali, so typically, here on the eve of our founder's birthday celebration, Prince Jonah Kuhio Kalanianaole. Yeah, here we are, Hawaiians, we've arrived. We have education, thank goodness to Prince Kuhio, because that was the mission of Hawaiian Civic Clubs, to educate Hawaiians. So we have education, we have land, and now we got money. Now we're dangerous, right? Everybody wants to be up in our business. When we had none of that, nobody cared. Today, we come with a big package and a know-how, and a leader like you, we can succeed at this. Thank you again, Kali.
Thank you.
Thank you, Auntie. And I do want to be respectful of everyone's time. We are running a little bit over the hour that I think we allocated. But if you folks have any more questions, please forward them to me. And I'll get them over to Kali and we'll get an answer back to you. But we really wanted to use this time just for our Oahu Civic Clubs, the opportunity to just get to know Kali. I think, we're going to be engaged on the issues as we've always been, and trying to do our part as we've always done to make sure that we get as many Hawaiians into homes as we can. But more importantly, I think to fulfill the mission of our prince, so just to let our clubs know, the board is meeting tomorrow on a number of different matters, but we're going to be soliciting the thoughts of our clubs. And Kali, when is your nomination hearing?
It's on the 16th at 1 o'clock in front of the Hawaiian Affairs Committee.
Yep, so you know, our board will be trying to figure out a way to see, you know, and take a vote if we can support. You know, I know many of our members here do support, but you know, we have to go through our deliberative process, you know, but again, just really appreciating you and the ability to have the open dialogue with all of us. Lou, I see your hand raised. Lou, did you have a quick question before we adjourn? Oh, I think you're still on mute, Lou.
Can you send us the link for the testimony, the GM?
Yes. So
my-
either way,
sorry.
yep, either way, we will be sending out our government relations committee will
Hello,
be sending
Jacob.
out the testimony link as well as all of the info. But Cully, thanks again, and we hope we can continue this dialogue if you are confirmed, and best wishes for next week. Hopefully it's not a, what did the media call it, a Valentine's massacres, but I think, you know.
Yeah, I hope it's a love fest.
Yeah, so, but yeah, any questions, folks, please feel free to send it to me and I'll get it over to Cully and his team. But thank you guys for your time, and we'll see you folks soon. Aloha.
Mahalo, Kali. Aloha.
Hello, everyone. Wow.
Thank you.
Mahalo, Jacob.
Thank you, and we'll send a recording to everybody.
Yeah,
and-
mahalo, Jacob. Sorry.
Aloha.
Mahalo.
Thank you.